Hello, this is Yaakov Kronenberg from Jerusalem, and tonight another class in the series of classes on Capricorn ascendant and Saturn in the different signs. Tonight we'll be doing Saturn in Aries. Again, let's review quickly that when you have a Capricorn ascendant, it means you're a person whose life is connected with their career, their success, the future, very future-oriented. The Capricorn is connected with the sign of the future, right? The 10th house is the future. The 4th house is the past. So with a Capricorn ascendant, there's going to be a strong, forward-looking, future-oriented approach to life. A person wants to be very successful in their career. A person who wants to get to the pinnacle of success. They want to get to the top of the mountain and look down over all the other people who are lower than them. And so that's the Capricorn. And when you have the Saturn in Aries, it's interesting. Saturn normally in a Capricorn ascendant will fall in the 4th house, which is the home and the family. So it's the opposite of the 10th house, and therefore it's in, what do you call it? It's in fall. It's in a certain sense, it's a weak place for us, because you don't like to have Capricorn is difficult in the 4th house. A person who has Capricorn in the 4th can have a usually a difficult family life, or the father or the mother, one of the parents had a very difficult life, or there was a lot of tension between the child and the parents. All sorts of indications like that when there's Saturn in the 4th house. A lot of people today born in the Western world, because of the structure of the house system, Saturn falls more in the 3rd house. And the 3rd house is more connected with communication, education, things like that. And so a person who has it there, it's going to be, again, it's always a mixture. If you have say, Saturn in the 3rd in Aries, it's also working for the 4th. And so it's going to be connected with the home and the family, expressing itself through that, and also through the communication, the 3rd house. Tremendous desire to communicate, to learn. Right? A person who's got in the 4th house, they're going to be very concerned with the history of their family. They're going to be very interested in history, in the past, in their roots. All sorts of things like that. And so it's an interesting combination when you have Saturn in fall. Saturn is considered in fall in Aries, because Aries is, Saturn has foresight. Saturn always thinks things through. The sign of Aries is lacking that. The sign of Aries is very, act now, do later, think later. And so a person who has that combination, it can lead to them where they tend to act before a lot of times before they think things through, and so it's considered in detriment. But really, Saturn in the 4th house is very strong because it's angular. And I've seen a lot of very successful people with Capricorn, with Saturn in Aries. We'll talk about one tonight in the class. But it's Aries is a Martian sign, right? And Saturn is hot, and you're putting it in the cold sign of Saturn. So there's always a hot and cold type of nature. Sometimes they're too cautious, sometimes they're too hot. A lot depends on the position of Scorpio, of Mars in the chart, to determine how good or bad this Saturn can be. Like we always say, there's Saturn in Aries in itself. You have to analyze which house it's in, what aspects it receives, all sorts of things like that. So let's go on now. I want to do a chart tonight. A famous Jewish actor actually. His name was Dustin Hoffman. I think he's still alive today. Let's see, he was born in 1937. That would make him about 75 years old today, right? He's not young anymore. He was very, very famous. One of the most famous of the actors when I was a kid anyway, when I was in high school and college. He was considered, one of the actors. And in any case, again, always we say the actor. It's interesting. He doesn't have a chart. Usually, we always say the charts of the actors. They have that, I was worried for a second. Usually, the actors have very strong first houses. They want to come before people. They have big egos. They have a big first house. They want to express themselves before people. And so here, looking at his chart now, I tell him, I see he's got Jupiter exactly on his ascendant, which is a nice indication. The Indian astrologers always say Jupiter on the ascendant nullifies 1,000 bad significations, right? Because Jupiter is a planet of great good fortune. The ascendant is you, your person, your body, your appearance. And if you got Jupiter in number 1 house, so it's a great beneficial influence, and it nullifies a lot of bad things, right? And you see that's already, because usually Saturn, you see he's got Capricorn rising with Saturn in the 3rd and fall, so it's a very weak ascendant to a certain degree, right? The 3rd house is just about one of the weaker houses, right? It's in the bottom of the chart, and it's heading towards the 4th, which is at the bottom. And it's in fall, so there's a certain weakness to that ascendant. But when you have that very powerful Jupiter on the ascendant, it adds a lot, because he's exactly on the ascendant, so it's tremendously powerful, and it's going to be it's going to build that man up. It's going to give him a lot of self-confidence, a lot of ability to put his presence forward. That's very nice. And so it modifies out the ascendant also, and that's exactly conjoined the ascendant, not like Saturn, which is of a very, very, doesn't really aspect the ascendant at all. It's 14 degrees away from being exact. And if you look, he's also got the moon and Saturn also exactly trine to the ascendant. So he's got 3 planets in good aspect to the ascendant, very, very powerful. So you see, that's again, and he's got more. He's also got Uranus, also almost a very tight trine to the ascendant. So you see, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 planets making exactly tight aspects, and he's also got Pluto making a fairly tight aspect to the ascendant. So the 3 outer planets in his chart are very strong, so he wants an unusual life. He doesn't want a conventional lifestyle. And he's got that moon Neptune in the house of the 8th house, working for the 9th. It should be in the 9th, so it's going to be very connected with spirituality, religion, things like that. Dustin Hoffman was Jewish, and what I was reading about him, that he was born in a very, of course, non-Jewish, practicing, non-observant household completely, but in his later life, it says he became very moving towards the Orthodox Jewish approach to life, and you see that in his chart. First of all, he's got that Saturn, the ruling planet. When you have Saturn in the ruling planet in his chart, even though it's in the 3rd, which is an indication of acting, communication, it's by nature it should be in the 4th, and that's the connection with the roots, with the past. And so there must be in his chart a strong connection with, wants to know about the past, about history, about his roots. And then you have that exactly conjunct moon Neptune, very, very sensitive, gives a tremendous amount of sensitivity. The moon is the feelings, and when you have a conjunct Neptune, and gives a very sensitive type of nature, and the Neptune is trying to the ascendant, and it's connected with the house of religion, and so that's going to give a big interest in religion. And so you see, it's a pretty good chart, and he's had a pretty interesting life, and thank everybody for listening.